Hello and welcome to the ROKER RAPPORT Match Day podcast. I'm a new voice today. My name's Tom and I'll be hosting it. And I'm starting off, I'm here with my cousin and fellow, I suppose, match day goer, Johnny. Johnny, how's it going?
Not bad.
Not bad. So Sunderland on a bit of a run of form. As we're unbeaten in 5, won a couple. So it's looking slightly rosier for Phil Parkinson. It's the same 11 as usual. I suppose it's 3 at the back now has been identified as, with O'Nien and Hume playing as wing backs. Still got Charlie White up top. Johnny, what you expecting today against Wycombe?
I'm expecting Wycombe to probably close their defence up today and try and come away with a point, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because they're on a terrible run of form at the minute.
Yeah.
So they're going to be playing for a draw today. Simple as that. Time wasting tactics.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think it was Graham did mention in the other podcast is Wycombe are quite notorious shithouses. Is there anybody in particular sort of in the Wycombe side that worries you much, or is it just you just expecting them to shut up shop like you said?
I think they'll play shut up shop. Probably more direct football, a bit like we're going to play today, I would expect. Long balls. I think it's going to be a tennis match today, if I'm honest.
Yeah, same. I suppose that the only counter to that would be last week we saw Sunderland keep the ball on the floor a bit more than they usually do. Do you really think, though, honestly, that if we're going to go play the long ball football, today's conditions are going to suit that kind of game?
Well, if they stick the ball in the air, it's going to be a bit, what can I say, unpredictable where it's going to land. Especially with crossfield passes, those long balls are going to hold up if you're kicking into the wind, and if you're kicking with the wind, you're going to be having to run onto it. So it's going to be a hard day for any defence today, really.
Yeah. No, I agree.
There's one thing I do like about Parkinson, and that's his consistency with his team selection, and I think that's where Jack Ross let himself down. It was always chopping and changing, especially centre halves. He seems to have found 3 centre halves that he likes playing together: Willis, Flanagan and Ozturk. So we've got some consistency there for once. He seems to like power in that midfield, and he likes Charlie White up front. He likes a big target man. So obviously I don't like his football, I don't like his brand of football, but I do like his consistency. So if we can try and tweak some things, and obviously against Lincoln he did, if we can keep this up, I think he's got a chance. He has got a chance of keeping his job, definitely.
Yeah, I suppose that's kind of a thing within the league, though. I was looking at the league table on my way in, and essentially we've got a game in hand, and we're only 9 points away from first. Considering the one run we've been on, that is, I mean, it's testament to how poor the quality of this division is. Do you still think that we've got a chance to go up, or do you think we're just playing for a playoff spot at this moment in time?
I think realistically it's playoffs. I cannot see. I think Coventry's going to run away now. I really do. I think they seem to be the team to beat. They hammered these last week, or the week before. And I think Oxford, I think they'll probably go up with them. They seem to have hit a bit of form now as well since they played Man City in the cup.
Yeah.
I think obviously you're always going to want to go up more automatically, but realistically it's the playoffs for us, definitely.
An interesting point that people have been talking about this week as well has been the first 2 months of Phil Parkinson's tenure. We were just told basically hang on, because we'll address the problems in January, we'll have money to spend, so on and so forth. And as of speaking now, we're 11 days into the transfer window, and the only move we seem to have made has been to get Kyle Lafferty in on a short-term deal. He's been without the club since the start of the season. Are you now concerned with how the window's moving, considering other clubs around us now have already started to strengthen and brought in players already for considerable fees, or are you just happy to sit and wait and get the right player for the right price?
It's always concerning, but the fact of the matter is, this is Sunderland and this is the way we've always done things. I mean, they always go on about getting people in as ASAP, but we never seem to get these people over the line. I don't know what the reasons are behind it, whether it's finance or whether it's the players don't actually want to come, but you never know, and you only find out once January the 1st hits, don't you?
Maybe we need a bit of skullduggery.
We do. I think I mean, people can say what they want about Lafferty, but we need a nasty streak in a team. We're too nice in this league. Whenever we play teams that are lurking around the bottom, even in the playoff areas, they try and kick up and try and upset us, and we never ever do that. And I think now's the time that we need to start doing something like that.
So, yeah, the only worry is then is your head, sort of when you're signing those players, that you head more towards the sort of League Oneification of the club if we just start signing League One hard cases. In terms of players like Lafferty, do you think he's really going to make that much of a difference, or is he just a Northern Irish Charlie Wycombe? What's your hopes and expectations for Big Lafferty?
Obviously for him to score a few goals, but he hasn't got an excellent scoring record.
No.
But then he's always played at a higher level than this, so it's two sides of the coin. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah. I suppose with League One strikers it's very knife edge whether they actually ever hit the ground running or whether they don't. I think they're fundamentally flawed in the fact that they're not, I suppose, consistent would be the word. But he does come in with a lot of experience, so do you think that's another reason why he's being brought in, or do you think this squad has already got enough experience with the likes of Ledbetter and Max Power and players like that in the squad?
I think he's the type of player that we need, maybe because I think he's going to come with a little bit more class and finesse than what Charlie White brings. I mean, Charlie White's a bulldozer, and he does put himself about, but he just lacks that little bit of class, that little bit of finesse that I think maybe Lafferty might bring. So I'm open to it. I'm not going to sit down and shut the door on him straight away and say it's not good, but you've got to give him a chance, haven't you? You've got to let him get in and bet himself in.
I suppose the thing with Lafferty is as well, for the next 6 months he actually has something to play for. Is Northern Ireland could still end up at the Euros yet, so if he puts in a good run of form he may well just get himself a slot on the plane if they make it there, so he's got that to play for. So just to wrap it up, what are you hoping for today? What are you expecting today? Give us a match prediction and goal scorer as if you're feeling brave.
I'll take a 1-0 now. I would take a 1-0 now. Obviously 3 points is a must today, especially with their form. But like I say, I'll take a scrappy 1-0.
Scrappy 1-0. Yeah, I'm the same. I'd be happy to just take a 1-0, a proper, Danny Graham-esque finish from White or something, bouncing off his arse or something like that, and just getting through. Because I think the 3 points is the statement today, and if we can take those 3 points, it really does put us back in the mix. So we'll catch you all at the end of the match. So a little bit unexpected, I think. There, Sunderland have ran out 4-0 winners. I think it's safe to say they've absolutely destroyed Wycombe there. Some really good football, some really good goals. I'm here with Angry Man, otherwise known as Craig Chapman. Craig, talk me through the game, pal.
Can't get over it. First of all, like we were just saying on the way over, it really is probably the best 90 minutes that we've turned out now since we actually dropped into League One. The performance levels really did not drop all the way throughout. I thought we were absolutely incredible. We said on the main pod last week we would have took a 1-0 win and it would have been the scrappiest game of football, but we just didn't let them settle. And the most encouraging part of it is just, when we hit top form like we have, I mean, literally nobody can kind of stop or nobody can intervene, and they just did not know what hit them today. I thought we were absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I think one of the things for me is we brought in that fitness coach, sort of 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and you can see the levels of sort of the desire, the running that the players have got in, and that is just, like you say, from the off, they've chased the ball, they've hounded them, and they've never let them settle. And when you do that, you're just creating a platform. And some of the players, the effort they're putting in is just absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
With the mistakes that we're now forcing upon defenders, I mean, last week, obviously the Lincoln goal, and I thought what was good again today was obviously we drew a penalty from one. Interestingly, I think it was the one who ran his mouth off a little bit when Wycombe beat us the last time, and he was giving it, you've got to respect us, this, that and the other. And I thought what was great today was just the shithousery element of the entire team. It was basically, look, we may not have fared well against you in the previous occasions, but literally this is a cup final for you. I thought everyone in unison, I thought the fans, the players, literally just did not let it rest. And I think we frightened the shite out of them from start to finish.
They did. They look like rabbits in the headlights from early on, definitely. But I think is something that I alluded to quite a while ago, is we need to get a little bit of arrogance about winning the side. And for the first time ever, especially under Parkinson, we'll come out and we had a bit of a swagger of, right, you're in the Stadium of Light and the players aren't intimidated by it anymore. So, I don't know, jury's still out on Parkinson, but it's starting to look less and less like the purple patch and more than more of a tactical change, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, admittedly, I'm still one of Parkinson's biggest critics. However, today I will, kind of 100% reiterate to say that was just an incredible performance, and obviously he was the mastermind behind it. You look at the fixtures, and I suppose the annoyance is because we're sixth now, and everything is within touching distance, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we could even still win this league. The frustrations, if you like, is you look at some of the fixtures that we've had in the past, 10, 15 games, whatever, and we've dropped points against rubbish sides, against Bolton, against Gillingham, teams like that, and it's like you said, if we had that arrogance, if we had that level of swagger about us, we should be absolutely walking this league. There's still time. We've got pretty much half of the season left, so there's no reason why we can't do it. What I like about Parkinson is today is, he never let the performance levels drop, and he just seemed to back himself to just say, listen, go out there, you've got that freedom, go express yourself, and like you said, that arrogance. I mean, Chris Maguire, he's scored a lot of goals this season, he's scored a few free kicks now as well, but I mean, to pull off the free kick the way he did, for the final goal, it literally would just look a class above. You would honestly compare that to, say, like an FA Cup tie, where we looked one division above them, and this is the team who's top of the league. Now, they looked, prior to say 5 or 6 games ago, that they were running away with it, and now all of a sudden there's cracks in that team, and you don't know, maybe they're going to have a similar run of form where they all of a sudden go through a rough patch for the next 10 to 15, who knows, but we've just got to keep this momentum going. And in terms of who we look at for standout performances, you can't really single anybody out. I thought every single performance today was absolutely brilliant. I mean, even to the point where we say they barely threatened the last 10 minutes, where they had a few chances, but John McLaughlin, he was barely tested all game, and still he manages to pull out 2 stunning saves at the end. So it's just a complete contrast to where we were 2 weeks ago, to where I was standing outside the stadium just ranting and raving. And we said, and we've said it on the main pod as well, that this team is capable of so much more than they were delivering, and now who knows what it's from, whether it's a case of, professional pride's crept in and they're starting to say that, we should be better than what we are, we should be winning this league. Who knows whether it's a kick up the arse from obviously people, the recent kind of statements going out, if you like, but now they seem to be playing with an awful lot more expression, a lot more freedom, and it looks like the shackles are off, they're enjoying it. You've seen at the end, they enjoyed the adulation, they enjoyed the praise from the fans, who once again were absolutely magnificent from the off. So it's just an exceptional day, really.
Do you think, sort of, if you're adding 2 and 2 together, then we briefly discussed it, do you think there has been a link? Now, I'm not saying McGeady was a bad egg, where McGeady was holding her back, so on and so forth, but there has definitely been some distinct changes that have happened in the past few weeks. Obviously, you've got the McGeady thing. I think everything sort of come to a head at home to Bolton. You then had the following fan statements and things. Do you think that's kind of created a perfect storm? Do you think there's been a definite switch there? Or
it's almost turned the pressure away, if you like, from obviously the 11 on the pitch. I mean, if you look at some of the comments from not just us, fellow fanzines, I mean, everybody who was in that stadium on Boxing Day, it all said the same. Frustrations were creeping out. I mean, we sang for Kevin Phillips today, but we sang for Kevin Phillips on Boxing Day for much different reasons.
Well, Kevin Phillips was there today.
I was going to say that's why. I mean, he was there as obviously as a guest, but you just can't put your finger on it. I mean, when McGeady was in the team, I think we've all said everybody was guilty of being overly reliant on him and just basically directing the traffic through him. And now all of a sudden, you just see so many patterns developing. I mean, George Dobson today, he looked a class above where he was. And whether it's a case that partnerships now start to form, he's getting a consistent run with Max Power. You've got the link up on the left-hand side between Denver Hume and Lyndon Gooch. I mean, Gooch has been absolutely sensational since he returned to the team. Now, I've been championing the return of McGeady for quite some time. I've always maintained to say, if you've got a player to his calibre, don't try and force him out. Just try and resolve your issues. If they're not beyond repair, try and fix things so we're not basically going throughout the entire window where basically we could be getting into the dying days and saying, look, we've got to try and bring you back, and now obviously he's going to be feeling somewhat cheesed off and he's not going to give us 100%. But I mean, based on today's performance, you'd say we don't really need him, and one of the things I've said in recent weeks, we haven't played anybody. We've just played the top of the league team today with pretty much the exact same setup that we've had in recent weeks, and we've absolutely destroyed them. So I'm confident of playing absolutely anyone now, anybody here especially.
Yeah, I must say I'm the same. I think there has been, like you say, there's a few patterns developed. I think one of the main patterns for me has been the sort of, we've abandoned a lot of the long ball football. I think it's evident to say, discussing it with people around me in the stadium and that, and everybody has agreed we've moved away from the long ball football. Doing that is also allowing us to get the ball into Max Power, who today, for me, it was a captain's performance, and he has been for the past few weeks. He's really taken the bull by the horns within that side. Charlie Wyke, once he gets a goal, different kind of footballer. He was playing with some confidence. So, you know, I mean, there's two ways you can look at it for me. Is either Parkinson, who's quietly, he's stuck it out, he's found a way to do it, and, you know, this is all this, and, you know, he's a low-key genius, or he's just somehow stumbled upon a total fluke of a scenario and he's just riding it out. But I'll tell you what, Phil, if that's the case, mate, just keep on riding it out, because it was superb today.
I mean, look, where we are now, we are basically the exact position where we were when Jack Ross left. Now, I said I'm here to get an extra 10 to 15%, and I've attacked him with that pretty much every single week on this podcast to say you're not getting it. Today, for the first time, I believe that he's got that out of those players. I honestly think that every single one were playing for each other. They're certainly playing for him, and there was times in recent weeks where you go, it doesn't look like it, but they're chasing balls down. They're now capitalising on other people's mistakes, and you've seen in the past, you know, whether it was under Ross, whether it was under Parkinson, there was a half-assed effort where we've got to try and rally them on and basically say, you know, get at a team. Now, it's not so much needed now, where basically in the past you're saying we've got to basically up the atmosphere and try to get them to match us and marry up with that, but it's basically them from the offset to say we're going to set the tempo, we're going to get the fans on side, and we're just going to get our teams. So, you know, long may that continue, and especially with the games you look at, we've got Milton Keynes next. I mean, look, with all due respect, that's a winnable game. You've got to be going to teams like that and say we're going to beat them. Can't be too complacent, of course, because they have had some decent results of late, but still, nonetheless, got to go and win that game. If we beat Doncaster at home all of a sudden afterwards, you look at that and you go, right, the tide's turning. And I said post Bolton that really what we've got to be targeting is we've got to be targeting maybe 8 from 10. You see that today and you say, who's going to stop us? I can't see anybody beating us on that performance.
Yeah, especially with how beatable everybody seems in that league. It's been well documented on the podcast as well. We've been on a horrific run and still managed to stay in touch. I was looking at the league table before I come in. We've still got 21 games to play, and before today we were 9 points adrift. We'll now be, I think it's a maximum of 6 or 7, I can't remember precisely. But you do have to think, honestly, with so many games left to play, that we are still in it. And I think it was last week I said to someone, is that if we could take 11 points or more from the next 5 games, we'll be floating around the top of the table, and I think that's definitely a possibility now. But the main thing is we've got to keep this going and not get derailed in the transfer window where we've not done much business or looked like doing much business thus far.
Yeah, I mean, momentum is the key, really, isn't it? If you look at some of the teams that went up, I mean, Luton Town in particular, I know people say they're the best size, and last season I think they went, maybe 25 games or something like that unbeaten, and that really got them out of the league. Now, if we can forge a late run like that, you know, nobody's going to be targeting us like we've been sat top of the table all season and saying we're going to shoot them down. Now all of a sudden teams are looking over the back, and if you send out a statement like we have today, it is going to unnerve a lot of teams. You're looking at Oxford a few weeks back, they were right up the top, and they've just been beat comfortably again today, and you just think, it's anybody's league now. All of a sudden, if we persist with the same endeavour, if we have the same heart, if we have the same levels of performance, and if we get January right, which admittedly at this stage, you know, I'm uncertain as to what level of business we're going to be doing. It's like you said, it's very much likely to be freebies and loans. Jury's out for me with the signing of Kyle Lafferty. I mean, I just haven't seen an awful lot of him of late, hence the reason why I don't want to say it's a good signing or whether I want to say it's a bad signing as of yet. The only one I think that I can probably suggest is he's likely not to be match fit. So if it's the case that he can maybe like forge 10-15 minutes towards the end of a game and replace Charlie Wyke's performance like that today, then, you know, so be it. But it'll be interesting to see what business we do. Obviously, we're 10 days in now, we're linked with a lot of players, so case of wait and see. But the difference is 2 weeks ago you'd say who wants to sign for this football club based on that run of form. you look at that today and you say, right, okay, show them the tape, show them the fans, and show them the reaction of those players coming off the pitch today. I mean, by goodness, anybody would want to come here. She was quite irate, by the way, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. We've just somehow managed, such as the joy of like live reaction podcasting, is interrupt domestic argument in the bar, but they've gone now, so that's all right.
It's no reflection on the Hilton Hotel, which caters usually for lovely, lovely people.
Yes,
but
I know.
They weren't of the ilk.
Yeah, I know. It's quite surprising actually that we've managed to do this podcast and find somebody angrier than Craig. So there's a first time for everything. Well, but on the subject of Angry Man Craig, obviously we've got the positive of the win and so on and so forth. Is there anything you want to say? Because I have a suspicion you might want to say a few things just about what's happened this week. Clear the air, get a few things off your chest.
Well, first and foremost, let's just kind of delve away from the performance, which, like I said today, I think was absolutely magnificent. I credit Phil Parkins for it. I thought he was absolutely spot on. I thought the selection absolutely impeccable. And again, for me, I was Jack Ross's biggest fan, but for me today, that was the best performance that we've had since dropping down to this level. I don't think many people will agree. Yeah, there's a couple of things that we need to tidy up, don't we? I think especially in terms of the way kind of social media reactions, things like that have been of late. We had a lot of people obviously saying, on Facebook, I think in particular, I mean, by God, Facebook's like a war zone at the best of times.
I got compared to Donald Trump at one point, which is a bit wild because anybody who knows me knows I'm pretty left-wing, so that was somewhat extreme. But,
I think for me, we've had a lot of people saying, well, look, you don't speak for me. And I'd say you're absolutely right. So that was never our mantra, if you like, to basically set out to say that we speak on behalf of everyone. So I would say you're absolutely right. We don't speak on behalf of anybody else. We don't claim to. But I will also say on the flip side that those who agree with the campaign, they're entirely right also. Now, interestingly, after the last pod, the last reaction, somebody asked, the other day, basically said, as a fanzine, how do you go about pleasing everyone? Now, not to say that is something that we should be trying to do anyway, but how would we even go about it? Now, social media, the reflections on that, and certainly society, if you like, in the past week, not just on Sunderland, but in everything. We live in a moment where everything immediately seems to default to outrage, and it's like an MO, basically saying it's either exactly as I see it or you're wrong. Now, the common theme, if you like, that I'm finding with those who are disagreeing is that they don't seem to be prepared to accept or entertain new opinions they've asked, basically for their own opinions to kind of be like rebranded and given back to them. And, that's kind of one thing that we've said, we're going to remain true to obviously the message. Now, at no point have we ever, kind of went against anybody and said, look, it's kind of an us and you sort of thing. So if people support the current regime, we're absolutely fine with it. But there must also be acceptance of others who are, really want to raise pertinent questions and respect our desire to see change. It does work both ways. But I think at the moment, it's like a crazy thing. There seems to be such a norm, like a devoid of nuance and compassion and acceptance around people having different opinions. And just in respect of where we are now, look, I mean, protests and supporters at any football club are only ever a symptom and certainly never ever a cause. We're a group of fans with realistic expectations. We want the very best of our football club, and I think everybody can agree on that. And we knew before any decision was made that the actions would certainly please some, and it would anger, other people as well. So for those people who are tweeting and DMing saying, we don't represent all fans, you're absolutely right. And I know there has been a minority who have disagreed with the Donald Out protest, and it's absolutely fine because, like I said beforehand, that's their opinion, which we respect. But I would ask that they also respect ours because, look, we've got absolutely no personal agendas. Everybody here contributes voluntarily and we all invest so much time and effort into this football club, which we all love. We're all here, we all want the very best. So I would just hope that at least everybody kind of appreciates that the content that does come out of this, it's not, kind of a dictatorship, if you like. If you refer back to the Exiles podcast that was released during the week, one of the strong messages that you seen from everybody on there was basically saying they particularly disagreed with the Donald Out protest, but they could understand the reasons why. So, like I said, I think we'll just need to go about, kind of displaying a level of respect for absolutely everybody all the way through and ensuring that as fans, regardless of the politics that's going on behind the scenes, we remain together because today, as soon as that ball was kicked from the off, everybody rallied. The atmosphere was absolutely magnificent, and you know what? It was a really enjoyable match day experience. So long may that continue. Whether it is the case that obviously anything else develops, then I'm sure obviously it will be brought to the forefront of social media. But again, like I said, I think it's more of a celebratory success today, opposed to, you know, kind of attacking people or sort of divulging more things. I mean, I've got personal opinions on the statement that was released by the football club. I've got personal opinions on what was the comments, which are alleged to be from Charlie Methven, but, you know, those could be saved for another day. Descriptions that have come out to basically say that, you know, whether it is factual comments or whether it's alleged, people have described that there maybe is a disease around this football club and around this, you know, people think that there's a fundamental problem with Sunderland fans. You look at that today and you think that after all of the shit that we've been served up, double relegations, embarrassments off the pitch, star players going to prison, there's still almost 30,000 in there today, and we're still giving absolutely everything we can. So look, long may that continue. I'm sure I'll bring out the angry side again at some other stage, but I think it's been an absolutely fantastic day, and I don't think we should divert too much away from it. I think it's been brilliant.
No, yeah, I think sort of personally, just as sort of interim host on this one, I would probably just say, kind of echo your sentiments. I don't think anybody here is wanting to derail the football club. Don't think anyone here is wanting to create a negative thing. But what people do need to remember is, in a democracy, which essentially is what a football club is, it's a sort of small democratic system unto to itself. It is perfectly natural to ask questions, to ask if you can do better, because if you don't ask those questions, you just end up in a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is either not ask those questions or ask those questions too late, and you end up in a situation like Bolton or Bury did, which is what we don't want. But like you say, I think the main thing is we need to keep the off the pitch and on the pitch side separate, especially on match days, because like you say, the way the fans got behind the squad again today, absolutely fantastic, second to none. And I think we all need to remember at the end of the day, whether your opinion is Donald in, whether your opinion is Donald out, as soon as those players cross the white line, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're all supporting the same side, and there's not a person in that ground who wants to see Sunderland not do the best they absolutely can. So
let's just have one criticism, right, which I can't get my head around, and it kind of draws us back to, I had this conversation with somebody at half-time. When we played Man United a good few years ago now, and we beat them 1-0, Seb Larsson scored the goal, and then we had that lovely 30-40 pass movement, and Barini hit the bar, and we always said it's like the best football goal that we've never ever scored. Today, when we had the flick around and, you know, it comes over the head, how on earth Charlie White never scored that? And I thought he was fantastic today, but that was just, I think it kind of sums up his time. He grafts his bollocks off, but, you know, he literally could have been on the end for what you would have said his goal of the season, and somehow it just never comes off for him. But only criticism then, if you like, that basically we should have won this about 10 or 11-0 today. But let's at least, you know, look at the positives. We scored four good goals, well taken penalty, stunning free kick, caused some problems from the offset. And if we walked into that ground today and we said we're going to beat these 4-0, you know, I think most people would have said, yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I think that's a nice, just little bit to end it off. We got a little bit of angry man, not too much angry man, but you know, just the right amount this time. So I think all in all, it's been an up and down week for the fanzines in general, but it's been nice to finish it off with a good win against the top side.
Absolutely. Let's have a bit of unity again. Let's go back into next week against Milton Keynes. We're bang smacking it now, resurgent bit of form, and you think, let's kick on. Luton kicked on from this position last season, Charlton did as well, and they both made a late surge. Now, we've still got the best part of 4 months to go. We've got a transfer window in between that as well. Absolutely no reason why we can't be talking about promotion again, and that's a word that we have not used in quite a while. So, yeah, you know, future, at least for the moment, is looking somewhat positive, so long may it continue.
Yeah, long may it continue indeed. So, I've been Tom, he's been Craig, we've been ROKER Report, and we'll catch you next time.